Surprised not to see
We are starting.
Starfire. So surprised not to see Yolik here, and Yolik just emotes. Is around.
We are live, by the way. So hey, everybody. Hello to everybody who's joined us in the live chat. Just getting started here. We don't have an agenda for this at all. We're just gonna answer questions pretty much. Lots of people piling into the Hangout. I apologize for not having a video. You can't see my beautiful face today. I left the camera at home. Let's see here. Just closing all my windows in case I decide to share my screen. Ooh, I'll show that. I could probably tease you guys with some UI stuff since you all are covered under an extra special NDA. So that could be something fun we can do. Let me see what I got here. That one. Yeah, I could show you that one. What else do we have? This one. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Okay. Where is the best place to start? Hey, why don't I tease you guys with UI stuff? Nobody has seen any of this before, so you guys are seeing it for the very first time. Let me make sure I don't have anything on my screen that I shouldn't be showing. I'll move my start bar to another screen. There we go. Okay.
Super NDA enabled.
Yeah. There will be a little bit of work for you guys if you have custom windows. We tried to change as little as possible in terms of like the sprite names and like the window size and the button sizes. There's a few like subtle changes, and when I released the notes along with closed beta 1 release, I'll give you guys some notes on the easiest ways to update your custom windows.
Custom windows or custom HUD?
Well, anything that uses dynamic windows is going to be potentially need to be fixed or updated. So just because we're moving to a whole new set of art. So all right, so here I'll share my screen and show you guys some cool stuff. So the goal with the LOA UI skin is to make it a little bit more sandboxy. Ignore that hotbar on the bottom there. That's not the hotbar we're going to have. That was just something Tiffany was playing around with. But that's the conversation window, so it's on a scroll now. This is our new character window. Something nice. Like that. The stuff on the left and the right may change or be slightly adjusted. There'll be little toggle buttons for showing your magical stats and showing your combat, like melee combat stats. And then those title and guild buttons, you'll be able to click, like where it says title and where it says guild. If you mouse over, it'll highlight, and you click on it, it'll take you to that. The karma system will be in, so we have Cade working on the notoriety system, and it's pretty sweet. I have a lot of details about that as we get closer to beta. This is just what the default. This is what the default frames look like. We have kind of like a standardized tab menu now, so like it's really easy. It's just a helper function. I can show you guys. You can just call this add tab menu function to just about any dynamic window, and you can like really easily create like windows with tabs. So that's a really, really handy thing. We've added some cool stuff as a result of the UI updates. One of the biggest ones is sub windows. So you know, you can add a scroll window, and then like a scroll element inside can have like elements inside it, and it like moves with the scroll window. But we added a sub window, and what you can do is you can put a bunch of dynamic window elements inside a sub window, and then that position, you can move the sub window around. You don't have to go and change the X position of every single element inside. So I'm sure anybody who's done work with dynamic windows will appreciate that, I'm sure. The launcher is really, really close. I want to give you guys the new launcher when we roll out CB1. So it's not quite ready to give out yet, but and I really can't demo it yet because it needs some more things. But the idea with the new launcher is it is a web app. Basically, anywhere where you run regions, it runs a little Node.js server, and the installation is super easy. And it's only designed for clusters, right? So if you're running a standalone, you still just use a standalone server launcher. But for oh, we got more than 10 people that want to talk. If anybody is in the Hangouts and they don't have a mic or they can't get their mic working, please just watch in the YouTube channel because it's full. But the guys, those of you who can't join the Hangout, you can ask the questions in the live chat and we'll answer them there. So never fear. What was I talking about? What was I talking about, Jeffrey?
What were you talking about?
Yeah, something.
You were talking about sub.
Oh, the sub windows. Yeah, I mean the main reason for the sub windows is I'll show you guys this real fast. Our character window is animated, so there's like 2 panes that slide out on the sides. I'm in the middle of working on it. It's not done yet. So this is our character window. And then if you click these, this stuff pops out. So each of these are sub windows, the left and right. Pretty cool. That's about all I can show you. This is I'll create a guild. Newbies. Guild window's one of the ones that's done. So it's really sharp. We've made a lot of efforts to crisp up the UI. I don't know if you guys have noticed that the UI was a bit blurry in previous releases. So now the UI is nice and crisp, which when I was working on the UI, it was driving me insane because you stare at these small fonts all day and it just makes your eyes go crazy. So the crispness of the UI is just beautiful. Oh, this is a cool thing that we have. As I was working on Windows, I went and updated the spell book to you can now just drag spells to the spell book, or you can if I create a spell scroll, you can just drop it in here.
So crispy clean.
Kentucky Fried Cream.
If you just drop this on here, it just adds it to the thing, which is really cool. So yeah, lots of cool stuff going on. Spells. What else is going on? There's not much changing from like a admin standpoint. We're really focused on CB1 of getting the game features of Legends of Aria to completeness. Hopefully during CB2, closed beta 2 development, we'll have time to work on tools because I really don't want to roll this out on Steam without having some decent tools for seed object editing, regions, and paths and stuff like that. And then also, well, this is one thing that I want to do before we launch closed beta 1 is try and get to the point where you guys can show custom maps to players during closed beta 1. There's a list of like 5 or 6 bugs I need to fix before we can allow you guys to do that. And then there's also, I want to make a watermark so that people know that it's running a custom map. Just so that people understand, like, there's a difference between like Legends of Aria official assets and maps and then like custom stuff. So just with screenshots and videos and stuff, just to avoid confusion. So that's the real slowdown with getting you guys, allowing you to use custom maps on like public servers. So,
what about custom pictures and stuff like that?
It's on the list. Like I said, closed beta 1, like December 15th, which is like less than a week away, is our deadline for getting new features in. So right now, like, we're all scrambling to make sure we have every last features in. There's a few features that are going to trickle in during closed beta 2, but we're trying to get like 95%. So there, like I said, there's been very little. That's why I didn't really have much to show you guys today in regards to admin stuff, because we've been so focused on just getting Legends of Aria, the game, ready to go. So, but I do want to spend, like I said, I want to spend time on tools before we hit Steam, and I see that happening. It's just a matter of squeezing it in sometime after closed beta 1 release. I'm guessing all of you guys have seen the road to beta roadmap because we showed it during the roundtable.
I actually have a question about that too. You said you were going to improve movement and stuff like that. What does that really entail?
It's done. So it was the first task I did during this release. Mobs can no longer wander outside of bounds, out of like dungeons and stuff. Players should not be able to get into houses. And also movement is a little bit better. Like when you're moving, you don't stutter when you hit a wall. Like create.
What about things like charge, where they were?
I haven't messed with charge. I have not messed with charge, but so you'll see how I just kind of like, well, right now I'm just kind of floating around it. But if you do like 2 fences, it's so much better. Movement is so much better. Fence small. And push. So if I run into this corner, no, of course. It didn't update the collision when I pushed it. Fun. All right. Sounds like I got a bug there. But anyway, when you hit a corner, you'll just come to a stop. Before, like, you couldn't even get into a corner. There's an invisible fence right here. But anyway, it's sweet. It's a lot better than it was before. Okay. Why don't I just take questions from you guys? Because, like I said, there's not a lot to show, and I'm sure you guys have a ton of questions to ask. And we have 45 minutes for questions. So I'll start with people in voice. So anybody in voice have a question for me?
I guess I had one more question. Were you guys planning on doing dual wield before beta? I heard something about it, but I haven't seen it.
I don't see it making it in before Steam. Like, we have a lot of game, and we don't have a lot of time. Like, April is way closer than it feels, you know? So we're going to spend... we're pretty much not going to add anything new until we're happy with all the features that we have. You know, we need to get the game to the point where people feel like it's ready to put up on Steam, and right now it's not there yet. So. Chuck, we can hear you. Mute your mic. Who else has a question?
Me.
Go ahead.
Starfire.
Yeah, go ahead, Starfire.
How about women? Are they in the game yet?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, the woman characters seem to be broken.
In Alpha 2 or Alpha 3?
The clothes, stuff like that.
I'm not aware of any major bugs with females. So they should
also be. Well, my main concern is the font size.
So we have UI scale. If you look in the settings here, oh, great, my settings button's broken. This is the joy of being in development. Let's just manually turn it on. There's a UI scale. Did we have that? Didn't we have this in last release? I think so.
UI scale?
Yeah.
I believe so. Okay. I do recall it being turned off at some point.
So yeah, so you won't have any problems with font sizes.
Well, I kind of stopped downloading the new builds and work on it until it gets a little bit more beta.
Gotcha. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could get at least the character database pulled out of the local directory and like maybe have an entry in the cluster config to like point to it somewhere else.
So Citadel Studios hosts the character database, and it's probably going to stay that way for a little while. And it's mainly because I want to make sure that we have a good following behind Citadel Studios and a lot of loyalty behind Citadel Studios. And obviously, we have a decent community right now, but it's still really, really small compared to what it could be. Because it makes it just that much easier for people to run hack servers. Like part of the reason why we keep the cluster internal to us is to make it harder for people to run pirate servers. So at least for now, we're just going to hang on to the character data files, but that could change in the future, especially if there's enough demand for it. So.
Oh, I didn't even realize it went there. I thought it got written to our local directory structure. Are you saying that it doesn't?
Your character database is local if you're running a standalone. If you're running a cluster with multiple regions, it's stored in the cluster server.
Okay.
So you wanted it on the standalone? You want it moved, or
at least for now, yeah.
What's the problem with where it is?
I am trying to get the standalone server to run in a Docker container, and I can't write. You can't write data to a Docker container, so I'd like to host the database somewhere else.
Okay. Send me like an email to the contact with the request, and I'll see what I can do.
Thanks.
Cool.
Are we getting any updates prior to closed beta 1?
It would be really tough to give you guys an update. What we'll probably do, what my goal is to get you guys a experimental server as soon as we start making them for ourselves. So you guys can run experimental servers, but they'd be NDA'd and you'd only be able to use them, amongst other admins. But that won't be until, God, I can't believe how close we are to close beta 1. Probably about, the first experimental server will probably come out that'd be an interesting Christmas gift. It'd be the day after Christmas. So yeah, we plan to do some experimental testing the week between Christmas and New Year's. Well, the team's going to be working. We'll have off on Christmas Day, obviously, but the 4 days in between. So I'd like to just make it so that when we put our experimental server up, I give you guys your experimental server. So that's the goal. I can't 100% promise it because things get crazy when we're doing this stuff, but I'll try my best to give you guys it when we get it.
Are we going to be getting any more event types or dynamic window options?
So as far as events, there's no new events coming in closed beta 1 that I know of. I can double check. Let me see. And then for the dynamic windows, there's some more custom button types that we're creating. And then there is some other new stuff that's coming along as well. So
like focus events, keyboard events.
Gotcha. So you want more like the client stuff sent to the server. We don't really have plans per se for all that, but it could be stuff that we could try to squeeze in later. I'm just going to look at the event table and see if we added any events.
I guess while you're doing that, out of curiosity, is there any way that we can get the ability to lock out controls for players, like through scripts?
It's a great idea. It would be really nice if you guys had a little bit more control over what happens when people press keys. Right now, the only way you can do it is by assigning them to user actions, and they can hotkey those user actions.
Well, I mean, because with the movement, it affects things like charge or any other movement abilities when you're trying to move it, and it breaks them, which...
oh, well, that's just a bug. If you're forcing a player's movement on the server, the player shouldn't be able to override it. That's just a bug.
I see.
Yeah. I don't see any new events in here. Just double checking. I feel like I added one. I guess I could just look in the history. Yeah, I don't see any. All right. Any other questions? I guess. Yep.
Any chance you'll be working on the PvE rules?
We'll leave it up to the community to do a PvE only server.
Yeah, that's me.
There you go.
In other words, you leave it up to me to figure it out.
There was a PvP disabled setting, which I think stopped working at some point, which we can try to at least get that working so you can just turn off PvP with just a setting. So,
are there going to be any more changes to combat?
Yes, definitely. There's changes to mounted combat for sure. And then the combat changes, so there's prestige polish. Some of the prestige abilities weren't working correctly. And then also, we're going to be doing a little bit of PvP focus testing at some point this month. So yeah, that PvP combat will be changing a bit. One of the biggest things with mounts is the statues, right? So in the default rule set, you'll be able to dismiss your horse to your pack. And that was mainly because people couldn't fight off their mount in like adventure areas because they'd have to park their horse outside and it would just get killed. So we just kind of caved and decided to do the the mount statues. I don't like them, but it's better than the alternative, which is just having people fight on mounts all the time.
You could have gone the raw way and
make it travel only. Yeah. I like the idea that like mounted combat has a use, but it's not something that's done like as the main.
All right, so I got a question.
Yeah.
With the menus, you said that you're going to be changing up like the some of the way stuff spelled and whatnot. So is the experimental server you give us going to have those changes so I can fix my menus and stuff?
Yes, it will.
Prior to people upgrading and stuff.
It sure
okay,
will.
Great.
Anybody? Let me see if there's some questions in the chat here. I haven't taken any chat questions. I don't know if there are any.
Definitely the speed hacking thing.
Yeah, so that I will give you guys a setting for that. It's on the list to give you guys a setting so you can decide how far you want to let somebody go from the server's position before you snap them back. I would like to, probably not going to happen on CB1, but in CB2, I would like to do some movement prediction stuff. That way the client and server stay more in sync. There's some tricks you can do to make them, even with latency, make them smoother, especially now that movement is, when you're holding right click, it's direction-based movement. We can try to make it a little bit better.
So we're not going to have a configuration where we can just turn it off if we want to?
Sure, yeah, I mean, you'd just be able to set the movement distance to whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the only issue is it's not just speed hacking, right? Because when the server and the client's positions get out of sync, weird things happen, right? Like you'll be chasing somebody and it'll look like you're right on top of them, but they're really actually further away than it looks. So people can get a little frustrated with stuff like that. So it's not just speed hacking that the warping fixes. It's also the issue of people just being further away than the server thinks they are. So,
I mean, the speed hack protection is kicking in even when you're standing still at times. I get sometimes messages when standing around and not moving at all. Are these bugs being fixed?
I'm definitely going to try to look at them. We have time to fix bugs between now and closed beta 1 launch. So.
To me, it seems the system is honestly utterly broken. Many people have rubber banding and things because of this.
I wouldn't call it utterly broken. I mean, thousands of people put in thousands of hours during alpha, so calling it utterly broken is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Well,
it's one of the major complaints from players, right? That's one of the main complaints of players is the over-aggressive speed hacking thing kicking in everywhere.
It's a bigger problem than that, because what people think is they think the server's laggy, so that looks bad on the official servers as well, because the appearance is that the server's lagging, and that's the complaint that people have. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a balance, right? How far do you want players to get from where they really are? Because before we put the warping in, it was really bad when you'd be chasing somebody and you couldn't swing at them. It looked like you were right on top of them, but you weren't. So, I mean, it's a give and take. What I really need to do is get the movement prediction stuff in, but it's not a simple task.
I mean, it's not working. It's not even working in its current state. It's triggering the speed hack protection when you're not moving very often.
Yep, I gotcha.
That's a clear bug for a long time now.
Understood.
Once we're on Steam, is that going to be the only way to acquire the game? Okay. I'm not sure if you remember how I was doing this stuff with my kids at school.
Right.
And we're up to that again this coming year.
Cool.
So that's going to be fun. Theme, though, that might present some issues with me getting kids into the client.
It's one of those things that we're trying to figure out right now. I have a feeling that we're going to have to allow a direct client outside of Steam. I would love to just go full Steam and just completely take advantage of everything Steam has to offer.
Yeah.
The real disadvantage to not going full Steam is that you can't use all of the Steamworks features because you have some people not using it. So things like we'll have to come up with our own patcher and stuff. But I can
see that the Steam stuff would be really useful, and I can get Steam on the school computers without any issue. Nearly all of my kids have a Steam account, so that's not an issue as such. But the issue, I guess, would be then with
accounts,
cost of client and accounts and stuff like that. Is there some sort of way you could almost do like the install as a free-to-play sort of thing, and then codes you apply to your account, you can get access to certain things? I mean, like the only thing that
you don't have to use people's Steam ID as their account. Like there's games like Paladins or any of the high-res games, when you launch it from Steam, you still get like a regular like login and password prompt. So we could do it that way, but if we're going to do that, we may as well just allow you to download the game separate from Steam. So it's one of those things.
I'm just trying to think of ways that you can still use the full advantages of the Steam without it being a negative impact.
We might just have
how people want to use it.
We might just have to accept both. But yeah, it's one of those things that's still kind of up in the air.
Because at the moment, the way it's working for me using those server-specific access codes is perfect. I mean, I don't want them having access to anything except my server. I mean, I'm in a school environment. I have to be able to control what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. So that's like absolutely perfect for me.
Andy, there's no matter what solution we go with, it will have to support multiple accounts. Expecting people to have more than one Steam account is just not going to fly. So I wouldn't worry about that. There's too many people that have multiple accounts that just go, oh, sorry. So yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was wondering if there was a possibility of getting the line of sight function removed from being hard-coded. I don't know if that would cause issues, but for me personally, I think it would be nice to be able to add extra things into that.
Okay. Yeah, it might not be impossible to add a Lua hook to it. One of the issues is, wait, someone had a question in chat. Okay, I'll get that one next. One of the issues that that you have with that is the line of sight's called a lot. That function's called a lot. And so calling into Lua every single time you call it function could be expensive. So I could look at it, though. It'd be interesting to have a Lua hook in there so you could override it. Any chances of being able to plop a character in camera in Unity for custom maps so we can see things as without having to standalone it? Yeah, I understand it's annoying to have to run the game every time you want to run around in the map. Yorlik had a thing where he just kind of threw like a character controller on an object and was able to run around a little bit. We'll get you guys something like that, but it's just it's definitely fairly high on the priority list for the tools to be able to just hit play. So could be great if you could mod in C#. You technically can. You can add modules. You can add C# modules as DLLs, so you can have your own C# code running. I think there's actually a guide on the admin forum somewhere on how to do that. I think Yorlik wrote it.
What about coloring items, Supreme? Are you going to do anything?
The hueing? Yeah, so making it so items take color nicely is a pretty major undertaking, and I don't think it's going to make it for a beta. It's kind of a bummer.
what happened between last build and this build? Like, I noticed that the hewing has significantly gotten worse.
It did?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
some.
How do you mean?
That's why I was asking.
Yeah, like you can't really color items anymore, except for certain hues. They either won't show up or it'll be super faint, but it's broken between last build and this build.
I'll have to take a look at that. That might be a shader thing from a Unity update that we did or something. We don't hue items very much for the base game because it's just hard to make them look good the way hewing is implemented. So coloring items is really tricky because, you know, if you just throw a color value on a shader, all it's doing is like calling a modulate function between the two colors, the pixel color on the texture and the color that you have set. So it just never looks very good. We have to write some kind of custom shader that supports coloring. But some compatibility with AMD cards with the new launcher. I mean, that's totally up to Unity. It's one of those things where we're just at Unity's. Whatever Unity supports is what we're going to support. And I mean, I'm sure Unity's trying their best to keep up to date with AMD stuff. How to get water shown on the minimap? I'll let you know when we figure it out. We actually, our water on our new map doesn't show up either. So we'll figure that one out and get back to you on that. And launcher for Mac. It might be possible to do a Mac client sometime after we launch beta on Steam, but I'd rather just focus on Windows PC and get us on Steam with that, and then expand to other platforms.
Yeah, someone brought up but changed the context menu as well, which is kind of like that's a work in progress as well. But
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved away from the radial menu. It was just a little distracting.
Good. It was.
Do we need World Streamer to link multiple scenes for custom maps? Yeah, we run a modified version of World Streamer, so I need to figure out how I can give you guys access to it. So that's going to be one of those things that's like on the list to take care of, but we won't make it for closed beta 1. We'll get access to regions and add them through code. I would love to do dynamic regions. We haven't had a specific need for them in the base game yet, but I could see you could do a lot of really fun things with that. And not just dynamic regions. It would be cool if you could do dynamic lighting areas and dynamic sound areas as well. So those are just things that we know we need to get in there down the line. More animals. There's no more mobs coming in CB1. We added a ton of mobs in Alpha 3. But yeah, there's not that many coming in this. I don't think there's any coming in CB1. It's mostly a polish pass. Maybe we can get some in closed beta 2.
There'll be a couple.
Yeah.
I had 2 questions.
Sure, go ahead.
The first one is if you could implement that we have an ability to determine the player interaction movement, so we can cancel the server controlled movement.
Ask it again.
If there's a way for us to determine the player interaction movement, so when they press a key, and we can override the server controlled movement.
Oh yeah, I asked that earlier.
I think you're referring to a bug. Like right now, if you force a player to run to a location, the client can stop it. It's not supposed to do that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I think
for instance, if a player uses the ability on a mob, and the ability causes the character to follow or chase the mob, and then the player clicks somewhere else, it doesn't break the movement right now.
Oh, so you want an option to force a player to move, but allow the player to override it. I see.
Yep.
So that's the opposite. Yep. Yeah, I could see we could probably do something like that. It would just be another like move to function.
Okay, that would be great. And the second thing is there a way for you to leave the radial menu in for modding purposes? Because we would like to use it.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be purple and the rest of the UI is going to be gold.
But we can change that once the UI modding comes
That's
in.
true. Yeah, I won't take any of the code out.
That would be perfect, yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, allowing you guys to actually skin the UI is like a whole nother ball game, and that's definitely probably. I mean, little things like allowing you guys to add custom textures and custom sprites we can do pretty simply, but allowing you to like change all of like the button frames and the windows and all that stuff, that's going to be future improvements. That'll be post beta.
Baby steps.
So is the HUD going to change with the UI?
Yes, the HUD will change. Oh, look how broken that is.
What is that?
I don't know what that is.
It's like those UI elements just sat on your hotbar.
Yeah.
In a unit frame.
I need to fix my graphics here. There we go. I have no idea where I am. Is there a trick to going to?
Oh yeah, you broke my map. You broke my map, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, set your north where it should be. You want to be running.
Where I am,
yeah, head up there. I think you're in the ocean.
Head up here. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, you're in the ocean.
I get lost in the Eastern Frontier so easily because.
Oh, you're in the Eastern Frontier.
Yeah.
Were you guys planning on adding water walking? Because I saw there was an effect for it.
I don't think so.
So why is the effect there? Is that for fishing?
I have no idea what that is.
We have water walking with like half-done boats, right?
Pyros is gonna like flip people out. They're gonna demand boats because Pyros is like boat building.
Yeah, wait till you see all the NPCs in Pyros with dual wielding as well. All dual wielding pirates.
Austin hasn't finished the shoreline yet over here. I don't even know if I'm going the right way. Could be south for all I know. Yeah, I went the wrong way, didn't I?
Wait, so you have dual wielding pirates, but you don't have dual wielding characters?
He's joking.
Or Shane.
To the city in the Eastern Frontier.
Go to 763.
Huh.
725.
Hey, thank you. Austin to the rescue. UI is so busted. The UI is so broken that it's hurting my frame rate. Let me go back to the YouTube chat here and see if there's any questions in there. When would you say we can expect something like collision mapping for custom maps? We have that supported now. I think, did I make a tutorial video for that? Anybody know? I don't remember. I think I did.
Static collision painting is absolutely possible.
Yeah.
But something is weird there. I tried to repair the static collision in the default map.
Yeah, the default map static collision is not
well, but it should be possible because there are stuff we could actually fix. And it's possible to mod it by making a second map and copying the static collision and just load it. I did it and put an image underneath of it so I could exactly see where I was painting. And I put the file back and it didn't work. So did you bake it into the client somehow?
Yeah, it is in the client. Yeah, the client side static collision.
Yeah, so we have no way to override it. Okay.
Yeah, it's really only intended to be moddable for custom maps. There shouldn't,
Yeah, I can. It's working when I'm running a custom map, but I tried to repair the static collision of the default maps, and it was not possible, which is kind of a pity because it would have been fixed long ago.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Jesse,
is performance in the Black Forest fixed in the next version? I don't know. It's not fixed yet. I would like to fix it. We're missing some tool assets in the toolkit. Walls from the new town and the docks. Yeah, I probably need to update the toolkit with the new art. So I'll put that on my list. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I will do it as soon as I can.
Is there ever any point in time when we're going to be able to edit the base maps?
That's a tough one because we use a lot of paid assets. So it would be really difficult for us to give you guys our maps, unfortunately.
We own those paid assets?
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of them. So, yeah, it would be really tough.
That reminds me, I had another question. would it be possible to have the original texture for the creatures you bought from the Unity store? Because that would save me a lot of money, because I would prefer to use the original textures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. That might be possible.
That would be awesome.
I'm making a list here.
Make sure to check that shit twice.
Yeah, that was my next question. Are you making a list of all these things we're telling you?
Yep. Let's see. We still have 15 minutes.
Yeah, Jesse asked about the quest system. Whether or not it's worth his time working within the current quest system, or if we're going to be redoing it.
We don't have any plans to redo the quest system. If we haven't added any quests yet for closed beta 1, we want to bring quests back into the game before like actual beta release. If we do, we probably won't use the quest tracker. It'll be more sandboxy, where you just kind of gotta like figure out where to go and what to do.
Yeah, I mean, people probably remember from Shards Online, but was more kind of simpler kind of work tasks and things like that. And we're trying to play with implementing, like Derek said, more kind of sandboxy, less intense quests, just kind of things you might want to pick up situationally in places, like, you know, not very linear, just helpful things and cool little things you can find here and there. So we might add a few.
I mean, a simple example is like, you know, the cultists have a random chance to drop different pages of a book, and then you put all the pages together and you give it to somebody and you get a reward, that kind of thing, where it's like, it's not a specific quest that somebody tells you to go do. You just can figure it out and do it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing the idea of running maybe some areas where some NPCs might reward you in some way for bringing back something from a local mob, but that's more just to point people towards the fact that there are certain things around there. So there might be a few for CP1, but we're definitely not going to overhaul the system. No.
Are there any new icons or effects in this next build?
I don't think there's new effects. There will be new icons, I think.
Yeah, we haven't added any new effects right now, but there's definitely going to be another kind of polish pass on the prestige abilities. So some of the effects may change. They may be new if we have to use new ones. But
also, just to throw it out there again to make sure it's on the list, can we get the Grim Reaper so you go see transparent again?
What, with Grim Reaper?
When you set him to cloak, he's still visible, and I think that was because of the last resurrection system before you guys switched over, and it never got changed back, and it broke something that I really liked.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Massimiliano is asking about, he wants our response to the feedback post that he put in the it was in one of the other places, but it's now in the admin section under API feedback. So lots of trouble searching forum information. Topics are out of date. That's why we have an admin wiki, and that would be the best place for people to put information. We really shouldn't be using the forums for like actual information. When I add new information for admins, I try to only put it in the wiki, unless it's something temporary or something that would be like specific to a specific time. And you guys really can help us out with the wiki too. I added a section in the wiki for go there real quick, for like community projects. Like if Gizmo, if you wanted to add some of your stuff in there, it would be cool. There's the curriculum that Yorlik added. That's the only thing in there now. But anything where you guys feel like would be helpful to other people and you want to offer it up to other people. And especially videos too. If you want to just put like a collection of your own videos that you've made for admins in there, because I know some of you guys have made admin videos, put them under the community project section.
Honestly, shout out to Gizmo. He's made some really impressive community stuff.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. Cool. I cannot find the content actually active in the game. There's a lot, and then that was another thing he said in here. There's a lot of stuff that's not available or disabled, and that's just a matter of when we went from Shards Online to Legends of Aria. A lot of stuff got turned off and refactored and changed. And there is dead code in there. It's on our list of things to address. I would like to do it before we open the servers up to everybody who owns the game. So a cleanup pass is definitely in order. The change log from the public server. Yeah, I've been a little bit bad about that. Let me see. Where's the last one I did? 049. Yeah, so I didn't do one for 051. I apologize. That's me just dropping the ball.
I seem to remember that back in the Ultima days, you were on the Stratix forums complaining about all the dead code in the Ultima scripting.
I may have said that.
And how confusing it all was, and how none of it went anywhere, and just reminding you of past days.
Yeah, I mean, we always constantly clean up, like as we're going. If I see something that's dead, I take it out. Some of the stuff that's dead, I keep in there, like the quest system, because modders might find it useful even if it's not turned on. So that's just one of those things that like I said, it's gonna take a personal touch, and it's gonna need to be done when we have the time to kind of to focus on it. Don't understand and see how I can get from clusters blocked or active content. Okay, so I guess he means stuff that was turned off from Shards Online. I guess it just takes a coder to get in there and turn the stuff back on. Can understand what to touch, release, modify without breaking the NDA. So there's one rule for the NDA. I try to make it as simple as possible. If the client says experimental, it's covered under the NDA. If it does not say experimental, it is not covered under the NDA. Now, there's one exception to that, and that's custom maps. I actually kind of, if somebody put a custom map on a server and put everybody on it and told everybody to log on to it, I technically can't stop that, because I really want to make the rule as simple as possible. If it's experimental, it's covered. If it's not experimental, it's not. But we're just asking admins not to show custom maps yet. And it's mainly because we don't have the watermark in there to show, hey, this is a custom asset. But that's the rule. So it should be pretty simple to understand. Discord needs some more channels and stuff like that. Yeah, we could mess around with the SOA admin channel a little bit and clean it up. I really want the wiki to be the place where people go for information. The Lua references on there. Any of the videos I've made are now on there. The like grid images for doing the grid spawner are on there. So I think that the answer to the main complaint that he has is that we need to really consolidate our information onto the admin wiki. So.
Is there any way to get the cluster server finally into a really usable state and not just barely working?
I will work on that.
Because I mean, this is a core thing. I'm not so much interested in too many new features for us admins, but I'm interested in the basic infrastructure working reliably.
Sure.
Because there's some really nasty things still in there, which should be fixed, I think.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the NDA stuff with regards to admins is a little bit different. Yeah. So what I said with that one rule, the experimental rule, that's just for everyday players, people who own the game, $40 or whatever. For admins, you guys cannot show the toolkit or anything in the public server release. And also, I mean, technically mods that you create are not technically covered under the NDA because you wrote it yourself. But if it shows any of the API of the game, then you really just don't want to show any code. Don't show any code. Don't show anything in the toolkit. Nothing in development. Now the exception is approved modders. It's pretty easy to get an approved modder, and we were pretty lenient with allowing them. So that's people who have the extended NDA coverage. So yeah, I guess the admin NDA is a little bit grayer, but it's really not. It's just the toolkit and any code.
So here's the question I think a lot of people have been wondering. Why don't you guys accept fixes from the community server? I understand one of those is probably partially legal reasons.
Yeah, there's two reasons I can answer it. It's one reason is the legal issue of in court, it's very hard to argue that you own something that you didn't pay for. And it's not hard to argue that when it comes to something that's not for commercial use. When it comes to making money on things, it's just tricky. But I mean, there are ways to do it, and and the other one is the management of it. Like if we had somebody who was full-time working with community admins and that was his only job, and God, I can't tell you how much I would love to have that. then maybe we could pull something like that off. But I am pretty busy, so it's hard for me to, do that sort of
Some
thing.
of these issues, though, that the community is solving are things that you're going to have to dedicate someone to for X amount of time to fix. Like the custom spawner stuff that that people have put on there recently.
Right.
If you've given someone that task, surely they could spend that time liaising and then polishing it up to meet whatever coding standards you guys may loosely have. Send him $5 or whatever on his PayPal page. I don't know. They're not particularly doing it for payment, and they're just trying to make the game better for themselves and everyone else. So I'm sure that there'd be some sort of agreement that could be reached and save you guys a shitload of time.
Yeah, it's just tricky. The player limit is just a function of how optimized the servers are. So we're always working to optimize the servers. I mean, there will always be a player limit on the regions. I mean, you can only fit so many people onto one region, but we want it to be really high. Where it is at beta is kind of hard to say. I can tell you that I would like to have. I'd like to get 1,000 people comfortably on one server without having any lag issues, and that would be a good goalpost for us. We're not there yet. We're not far, but.
What do you think the settings you'll need to actually run a full server will be by the time you reach beta?
I don't actually know. Like right now, we run our server on 2 dedicated machines. So the thing that I found with the hosting is that our servers are very limited by CPU speed. It's not bandwidth. It's not memory, and it's not number of cores. It's really CPU speed. So we use I think 8-core machines, and we use 2 of them, and we run the entire game with that. So I think that would probably be a good benchmark, would be just 2 dedicated machines, 2 decently beefy dedicated machines. I know some of the admins run the entire world on one server, so it can be done. CS team size increase. As long as we're crowdfunded, the team's going to stay the same size. If you know some investor that has an insane amount of money that wants to give us some, send them my way. But the idea is when we launch on beta on Steam, we're kind of have that breakout success moment, and that's where the team will start to grow significantly. I mean, it's not that I'm not looking for investors, but the thing is I'm not going to accept an investor that's going to come in and change what our vision is, and that's very hard to find, especially for kind of our game is a little bit on the niche side right now. So I'm pretty happy with our team size though right now. I mean, we're very productive.
Slightly off topic question.
Yep.
Back in the old days, how many players was Ultima getting on a server? I know that what is it? Life is Feudals had big problems with theirs as well. They're only stuck on 200 per region.
We're way over 200, luckily. Yeah, I can't answer it because I was on the team, so I don't want to break it. But Jeffrey could answer to the best of his knowledge because he never worked for UO. Jeffrey, do you know? What was the community thoughts on how many people they fit on one server on UO?
What? How much should we think? Yeah, how much should we think fans? If I was going to give it a ballpark guess of how many people were online at a time on UO, it would be... I don't know. UO was weird. I'd say I don't know, in and around 1,000, 800.
Yeah.
1,000,
one of the things that people need to keep in mind though is the population at any time is generally the rule of thumb is this doesn't count launch days and big days, but the rule of thumb is 10% of your active player base is online during peak time. So if you think about prime time, if you have 10,000 active players, there's only 1,000 on the server. So if you have a server that can support 1,000 players, then you can support a player base of 10,000 players on that server.
Well, how many shards did UO have? What, 20?
something like that.
I had a question with the camera. I asked you in chat a while ago, would it be possible to give admins more control about it so you can have a greater zoom in level, for instance?
Yeah, we might be able to. I don't know. The distance that you can zoom in is really just kind of arbitrary. I don't see any reason why I'm not allowing you to zoom in further. So
it would be awesome if you could see the character more. Adam also had a question for the UI windows for the text logs. If you could use a scroll window with a cap. So currently you're using a scroll window with a capped number of lines. And the entries are a bit wrong because the auto scroll is at the bottom of the window. If you could switch that around. And the other thing was that he would like to have a custom text component, so he could create a second chat box for custom content. For instance, currently we're running a combat log.
Yeah, that would be nice to have. That'd be very nice. Got it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I'll tell you guys, like, in terms of admin tool priorities, like I said, because closed beta is so focused on Legends of Aria, or closed beta 1 is so focused on the base game. But when we do start working on admin tools again, the priorities are launcher, because the launcher is so close to being done and it's really, really powerful. Then there's the making it so you guys can let players onto your custom maps. That's priority number 2. And then priority number 3 is probably to allow you guys some level of adding textures and or sprites to the UI. The main reason for that is if you have a custom map, you want to be able to have a map window. And then there's also, people are doing some things that are pretty different from our game with their mods that they really need to be able to put some custom art in. So those, I would say that those are the top 3. And then behind that would be getting the tools in the game. So that's the seed object editor, the region editor, and the path editor. I really want to have that in the editor tool. So I have a hard stop at 6. So I'm going to do my best to get these things going regularly. And maybe we can do some workshops too. So instead of just having me take questions, I can pick a topic or like just work on a mod and you guys could hang out and ask questions while I'm working on something. If you guys have some ideas for topics, like if you want to say like, how do I change this? Or how do I do this? You can send them to me and maybe I'll use it for a future roundtable. The other thing I think would be we're probably going to be featuring some custom work that you guys are doing as we approach beta to show the modability of the game. So we may reach out to you guys. You know, I have a pretty good idea of who's doing custom maps, but if there's some of you that have been working on custom stuff that you want to be able to show off that maybe I don't know you, there's a lot of admins out there. So let us know, and we'll let, when it comes time to showcase custom assets, we'll make you one of those. So, and Andy's asking, will half our mobs stop working? There's not a lot of really core system changes in closed beta 1, so hopefully it won't be too much work to get your mod up to date. And like I said, as soon as we have an experimental server, I'll do my best to get it to you guys so you can get your mods working before CB1 launch. So
yeah, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, most of the integral systems of combat and of item properties and most of those core systems are getting tweaked and changed in terms of their value for the production server. I don't think the systems are changing very much, so yeah. I think it should be quite a smooth transition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I had one last question. Custom creatures and equipment, are they coming before the beta Steam launch or after?
Probably after, just based on what we have in front of us. So.
Okay,
guys, I'm going to head out. Thanks for joining us. And like I said, I'll do my best to do more of these because I really feel like it is good to get you guys in the loop a little bit more. And this is a good way to do it. So I'll make this video available. Actually, the link that you're watching it on right now is the link that will be the link to watch it after it's over. So if you know somebody who's an approved modder or another admin that didn't get a chance to see it, we'll also post it in Discord and the forums and stuff. So thanks again for joining us, and thanks for being a part of the game and the project. So bye, everybody.
Thanks for coming, everybody. See you next time.